Alright guys, good morning. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Highruler, and today's video is going to be talking about Season 1, Episode 1, and my thoughts on it, because we are day 2, and it seems like everyone is just done for their own reasons with this game now. So let's back it up and talk about a couple of days ago, because I made a video very hopeful of the future of the game. And truthfully, when my mastery levels were fixed, so much like many others out there, my mastery levels have been broken since January 30th, which meant I wasn't able to play the game and progress to the end game and get all the gear without going through their multiplayer, but their multiplayer was broken. So realistically, I was kind of locked out of a good portion of the game there. So when they first fixed it a couple of days ago, I was very excited to actually get to play the game. And then knowing that the new season was going to start in a couple of days, I was very hopeful that this was going to reinvigorate not just my interest in the game, but a lot of other people's interest in the game. And well, unfortunately, that just didn't happen. With Seasons 1 launch yesterday, right off the rip, I think a lot of people were turned away from the grind of Joker. Now, I have seen people say you can do it in as little as 35 minutes, which, yeah, that's actually really good. But I think the problem is that this was never communicated ahead of time, right? I think a lot of people knew that you had to beat Brainiac, but people didn't put two and two together, that to beat Brainiac, man, you had to grind your season level and then play the Mayhem mission and then beat Brainiac and then you get it, right? So I think while, yes, Rocksteady believed that players would have kind of, caught on like that, I think a lot of people thought it would be some sort of story element to it, like a story mission. And now, to be fair, when you do beat Brainiac, there is a cutscene there, but I think the introduction of Joker probably was handled poorly, I guess, compared to what a lot of people expected from games like this. I know we all don't like to talk about Marvel's Avengers, but Marvel's Avengers probably did story content with introducing a new character kind of well, and unfortunately, the rest of it didn't really work so well. But I think if you're looking at ways to introduce new characters, they actually did it as well as they could. So I think from there, it's a lack of communication of what you have to do, really, aside from beating Brainiac or paying the $10. And I think player expectations, unfortunately, were just a little too high. And I hate to say that, because obviously people want story content, they want things to do, they want to, kind of see where the story's going to go. And unfortunately, we just didn't really get any of that so far in episode 1. And for anyone who says just wait and see what happens, I mean, episode 1 is just done, right? Like, everything that we have in this image is already in the game. So at this point, there's nothing else to wait for except for 6 weeks from now when we get the rest of this content, right? And the unfortunate thing is that, yeah, I mean, you can basically review the season in a day because we know exactly what's happening, right? There's no time-gated content. There's no, drip feed, similar to what Bungie was doing over on their side with their free content update in April. Everything is as it was, right? And I think a lot of people are just upset because I think one of the biggest concerns now, and I said this on Twitter a little bit, is that if you're going to be doing seasonal story content, right, it has to be at least worthwhile, right? And you have to make sure that the delivery of that content is worthwhile, right? So for example, if the Justice League are going to be coming back, right, and we're going to be teasing the Justice League and everything's going to be happening, right, how do you deliver that story content? Because of the way I see it, you just don't, right? Like, what are you going to do? Tie it to a Mayhem mission? You beat Brainiac and the Justice League reappear? Maybe, yeah, like that actually could be what it is, but you're robbing people. And I say robbing, but obviously you're not giving the full experience of that story content that people were expecting, right? Live service games, yes, of course, they don't give you full season expansions every season, right? In terms of, like, you look at it like an expansion and you look at like a season in any other game, right? Of course, the quality is different, the quantity is different. But I think what we have here in Season 1, Episode 1 for Rocksteady's Suicide Squad is almost an embarrassment on the live service genre. And I say that knowing that there are other games out there that potentially in the future could do worse, but at this time, this might be the worst live service game I've ever played. And that's the unfortunate thing. There's no story content other than, one live, cutscene and a couple motion comic ones. There's no actual story missions to play. It's just almost embarrassing here, right? The interactions with the characters, like, it's just, there's not a lot here to really chew on, right? And I think one of those things is, if you really like the incursions, yeah, this is really great. Like, you have more incursions to play. But if you don't like the incursions and you don't like that, I mean, I don't think this game is for you, but they don't really offer anything different, right? There's no real change of the formula, right? Now, to that point, QVK was supposed to be the change of the formula, right? Adding that PvP gambit mode, but we don't know where that is. Some may say it can come in episode 2. Some may say it may come in season 2. We just don't know. And we obviously know that Axel has teased raids, right? Raids are something that players have become accustomed to in many live service games. But once again, we don't know where that's going to kind of slot in. Season 2 at the earliest, Season 3 more likely. It's tough to say at this point, right? But what I will say, though, is that if they release another season like this, I don't know what you do at this point, right? Like, obviously, feedback takes a long time to come in terms of kind of taking the feedback and, you know, kind of differentiating the different points of the feedback and then kind of, you know, disseminating it to the right people. But obviously, I think the biggest point of feedback here is that this season just didn't hit the mark. The delayed Joker unlocked for people who didn't want to do that, right? So, of course, I think, as I said yesterday, bringing that level down from 35 to 25 or just making Joker kind of unlocked right away, I think there has to be something there. Obviously, I know why they did it. Many of us know why they did it, because they want people to spend that $10, right? But obviously, you know, you kind of have to give people a little less friction and kind of promote your store using skins or something else, right? Now you have a battle pass that you can action on. There's stuff there, but obviously then you're going to have to do something different. New mission types, new stuff that you can do, not just new incursions, right? There has to be something else there for players to get involved in, and right now there just isn't. And obviously, the one thing I will say, let's talk about gear really quickly, because I think this is going to be a big point of contention as the episode and season goes on, is that what we have now in the mastery level is not going to work this season, right? And Tricks Ridiculous has talked about this a lot, and the season modifications just aren't good, right? And the philosophy behind Rocksteady, if I may kind of dive into the brain a little bit here, is that the idea is that they put all this work into new weapons with new perks and new things, right? And they want people to use it, right? So they go with the idea of, we want people to use this new gear, right? How do we work backwards from that, right? Because they don't go with the idea, they go with the solution of they want people to use their new gear. Then they work from that. So the idea is that now your crazed weapons are done, right? So this season, your crazed weapons are just basically useless, right? So any of you running Bane, like myself, that's useless at this point, right? You got to use poison, right? Because if you don't use poison, the enemies revive, right? There's a lot here that is basically not just incentivizing you to kind of use these weapons, but de-incentivizing you from using everything else in the game. And that may work, and people are going to grind for that stuff. It just doesn't feel good. And it puts them in a weird kind of situation where they don't want to always kind of have people use gear that they've been using for the last couple of episodes, couple of seasons. They want people to use the new stuff that they're working on and putting out, but they're not making it so it's an even 50-50 or 60-40, 70-30. It's almost like an all or nothing, right, in terms of the weapons. So I don't know how that's going to go over the course of the season. It seems like that is going to be a big point of contention for a lot of players as they climb the higher mastery levels. I'm sure some players are going to be okay with that change because they want to experiment with the new gear. They want to see what's new and they want to see how it all works. And that's totally cool. Totally respect that. But I think what we're going to see is these modifications are going to have a lot of complaints similar to a boom head as the season rolls on and players become frustrated. Truthfully, I don't know where things are going to go with this game now because, you know, even as someone who is super excited and super hyped, you know, I have a glitch now where my Joker doesn't even work. I can't load into the game with Joker on my squad. And then if he's not on my squad and I load into the game and then I try to switch to him, he becomes the model of whatever character I switch from. So he's kind of, you know, broken at that point, you know, and some other people have reported other glitches as well. And it just seems like it's a mess all around. Truthfully, man, I don't know. I wish I could predict the future here. You know, I think there's a lot of people who look at this and they're just done, right? Like, as I said, a lot of people are just looking at Suicide Squad and just going to put it down now because this is not going the way any of us thought it was, right? And I've said that before, and they reeled me back in with fixing my mastery issue. And maybe they reel me back in when they fix my Joker issue so I can actually play the character. But at this point, I have to wonder how many people are going to be sticking around for this. This could get to a very dangerous situation here where the amount of players they have could reach a very critical point to where they're like, Well, I wonder if we're gonna hit that point sometime this season. It feels inevitable with the way the season has started, and obviously with the rest of the content being laid out already. Unless they push something up from season two, I don't know if there's anything that can really save this season in terms of reception, player recognition, or just player engagement. I think at this point, the writing's on the wall for this season, if not the whole game. So it's tough to say, man. This is not the video I wanted to make today. I wanted to stream and play Suicide Squad and play the Joker, but I can't even play the Joker, right? And I can't even engage with the content that I want to. And yes, I could play any of the other 4 characters, but when you have a new character, you want to play the new character, right? So it's unfortunate this is kind of where we're at. So we'll have to wait and see how things go. I don't see this going the way that Rocksteady and Warner Brothers may thought it was going to go. I think this is really quickly turning into a death spiral here, and I'm not really happy with that because obviously, like many of you who bought the game, want to play the game, we sit here and we want to just enjoy this game for what it is, but it seems like every time we get close to being able to do that, there's hurdles, there's things to trip us, there's things that are just waiting for us, these little landmines, and it's unfortunate. So tough to say, man, tough to say, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys want more content, I don't know if it's going to be Suicide Squad content, maybe some Helldivers Dragon Talk, but 2, if you guys want that stuff, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a nice little comment, and I'll see you guys next time. As always, enjoy the rest of your day and night. Take care of yourselves. Later, guys.